This morning I'm doing a healthier version of cranberry orange scones. So, cup and a half of whole wheat flour. You can use white flour. I prefer whole wheat. To that I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, pinch of salt. Mix that up. Once that's mixed, sorry for the noise in the background, I'm doing my laundry too. 2 tablespoons of hard butter, and I'm going to just work it in with the fork. If you have a pastry cutter, you can use that, but I'm just going to use the fork. Just press it down and break the butter up. It doesn't matter if there's some small bits of butter. It'll just add a little something when it cooks in the scones. I've got my oven heating 425. And I have a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. I'm just going to use my fingers here to make sure all the butter is broken up. So the butter will be in like little tiny particles. Like that. Now to this, I am going to add in zest from an orange. So the zest from one orange, mix that up. And the wet ingredients, 3 tablespoons of orange juice. It took me 1.5 oranges to get that. Half a cup of Greek yogurt. I didn't have Greek yogurt, so I am going to use sour cream. And 3 tablespoons of honey. That's your sweetener. So mix that all up. Now, once that is mixed, my last ingredient is 3/4 cup cranberries. I didn't have fresh cranberries, I had dried cranberries, so I hydrated them in the microwave by just adding water and heating it up and let them sit until they puffed up. Then using a spatula instead of my fork, I'm just mixing everything up. So what I'm going to do is, got my pan here like I said. I'm going to put down some flour. So put a little bit of flour down. And I'm going to put my dough down here. So here's the dough, and all I'm going to do is just fold it around a few times. It's a little bit sticky, but sure it'll be fine. So once I have done that, so that's that. I don't know, it still seems a little sticky to me. I'm just going to add a little bit of flour and kind of mix up the flour a bit. There, that seems like a better consistency. So once that's done, I'm going to form it into a disc. Like so. Put the camera down here so you can see it a bit better. So there's the dough. And what I'm going to do is use a knife and just cut it. Or wait, maybe I'll do that. Put it on the pan. Good idea. So put it on the pan. Form it into a disc, like so, and then I'm just going to cut it into triangles. So it's going to be like 6 pieces. It depends on how big you cut the triangles, whether you get 6 or 8, but I have 6 pieces. And my last thing is I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of milk. And I'm just going to use my fingers because I don't have a pastry brush, because as you know, I'm not in my own kitchen. So I'm just going to brush it with milk. And it's going to go into the oven, the preheated oven, for about 20 minutes. While the scones are cooking, I'm going to make a bit of glaze. So I've got half an orange here, left over from when I was making my juice. So I'm just going to squeeze. Would help if you had one of those things. So I've got some juice, and to that I'm going to add icing sugar. And what I'm trying to do is make a glaze just to drizzle over the scones. And this you just mix up, and it's kind of by just by texture that you determine how much. So I probably used about 1/4 of a cup, I would think. So just, I still wanted a little bit thicker than that. So now I'm probably up to about 1/2 cup. And like I said, that totally depends on how much liquid you have. You can use milk, cream, you could use water just to make the glaze. So now it looks, if you can see, more like a consistency that it's still pourable. So once I take out the scones and let them cool for 5-10 minutes. Then I'm going to put on the glaze, but that's how to make the glaze. So here are the finished scones out of the oven, and they're cool. If you put the glaze on when they're warm, that's how it turns out, kind of glossy looking, sort of seeps into the scone. These ones are fairly cool. So all I'm going to do is drizzle my icing over the top of them. And that's your finished product. Hope you try them out.